Okay, very good afternoon. It's going to be the last panel, but the exciting one, I hope. And we have to give up a bit of energy here, I guess. Don't worry, I think when we have so many women here, I mean, full of ladies out there as well, waiting for us to start, energy will be vibrant for sure. So a very good afternoon. Without further ado, I think this panel really is a mix of superstar, I would say, league, changing the world, I would say, innovation, social enterprise. We are doing everything to make an impact for the betterment of the world. So without further ado, I think, as you can see, so many names, so many faces, from diplomats to foundation, to entrepreneurs, to myself, community. And then actually very diverse background from across Asia Pacific, I would say, or Asia. So I would definitely, firstly, pass the mic to everyone to make their introduction straight away. And also please tell us what you have been doing and what are your focus for now. Can I start with, Miss Abir?
Yes, hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Abir. I am the co-founder and director of Lean in Malaysia. So Lean in Malaysia is essentially a women empowerment platform that has been around since 2015. So it's been close to 10 years. And what we do is basically we run initiatives that focus on women in leadership by getting more women back into the workforce, as well as pushing more women to leadership positions. And currently we have a network of more than 7,000 members in Malaysia and a network of 300,000 across the Asia region. So that's a bit about me, and maybe because there's a long list, let's pass it on.
Well, I think 5 minutes or so, it's okay, because, you know, it has like your life work and what you're focusing on as well.
All right.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So again, Lean in Malaysia is, as everyone knows, comes from the US. But when we brought it back to Malaysia, why we started in 2015 stems from my own personal experience. I studied in the UK and I graduated with a first-class degree in actuarial science. I got an Agung Scholar to pursue my master's in actuarial management. So I think a lot of us can relate to the fact that we grew up without being told that there is such a thing as cultural barriers when we come back to the country. So my personal experience brought me back to 2012 when I returned and was told by the society, why am I not married yet? What are my plans for the next 5 to 6 years? When all I had in mind was, I want to be a leader in the corporate sector. I want to lead in maybe the financial industry and all that. So being a young woman back then, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know where to go. There was no mentor that I could look up to, or no one for me to ask for guidance. And then we came across Lean In, which essentially was written by Sheryl Sandberg, and the book is called Women, Work and the Will to Lead. And it's something that a lot of us young ladies can resonate with on how we can navigate ourselves in the workplace as well as personal lives. And we took that on 2015, and we came across other members who are like-minded, who are as passionate to want to move the dial. So 2015, we saw that a lot of women are being hired into the workforce, but across the line, across the pipeline, they would drop out and never return to the workforce. And as it is, 10 years ago and until today, I think some of the ladies would share the statistics, we still make up 54 or 55% of female participation in the labor force, compared to men who make up 80%. So there is still this ingrained problem that we still need to address, and hence Lean in Malaysia is trying to address that very problem, and we want to move the dial. So that's what we've been doing for the past 10 years. Thank you.
Thank you, amazing. We'll delve more into your entrepreneurial innovation angle later. Thank you. Next, please, Miss Siti.
Assalamualaikum. Good afternoon. It's an honor to be on this among the company of esteemed individuals and ladies and gentlemen in the crowd. I'm Siti Kamariah Ahmad Subki, Managing Director and Trustee of Yayasan Hasanah. It's a foundation of Khazanah National, a sovereign wealth fund. We are ranked number 16 globally in terms of funding size. But funding is just one aspect of it. But what I wanted to share with you this morning, which is actually almost like my daily life at the moment, whereby I was at the school in Hulung Selangor, SK Rasa. I was in a classroom and we are about to launch our learning recovery program, which is making sure that no kids are left behind with regards to 3M, reading, writing, and numeracy. So I was looking at the board where kids were writing. So the boys were putting their ambition on the board. Most of the boys would say they want to be CEO, they want to be policeman, they want to be, a few wrote that they nak jadi boss. But the girls were writing there, it's like, saya nak jadi cikgu. I want to be a teacher, or I want to be a hairdresser, I want to be a painter. But I couldn't help but notice that none of the girls wrote that they want to be a CEO or a prime minister or a minister for that matter. And this is in Hulu Selangor. It's still in the state of Selangor, one of the richest state in the in the country. But you still have that kind of disparity where girls do not dream to become a CEO. And boys do with the exposure. And after a minister walk into the classroom, a leader walks in the classroom, we get more messages on the wall from the girls saying that, I want to be a minister. So that's showing to you just by a half an hour interaction with a minister, former minister, a girl can, with that kind of exposure, the girls decided to say, hey, this is not such a bad thing after all, because they see that another woman, a girl, in a position in which that they can imagine themselves becoming one someday. And I'm grateful, I'm really grateful that this is the daily happening of my career at the moment. So I'm really in the best place of my life that I get to do this on a daily basis, and sometimes wonder like I'm doing something that I really love and I get paid for it. It's really, really quite a bonus. But so the moving the needle with regards to women empowerment, sometimes it's not about those big slogans and commitments and whatnot. It really is that what happens on a daily basis in a classroom, in a household, in your daily life, in which someone gets inspired, that a girl gets inspired, or even a boy gets inspired that, you know, that this is possible for me. I think there are more examples, but I'd like to believe that that's the impact that a social impact organization like Yayasan Hasanah and many other foundations could bring. And also kudos to the organizer of this program, for example, just by having exposures to so many leaders from all over the world. I'm sure the ladies who are presenting, good job by the way with the presentations. I was really quite impressed with the level of energy that you demonstrated, because that is the kind of exposure, Dato Halimah, that we need our boys and girls, our men and women to have more, so that they dare to dream. And that's very important. So a big round of applause to the organizer, Dato Halimah and all. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Siti. So yes, classroom to boardroom, which we aspired to at Women in Tech that I'm representing. We see leaky pipe from very young all the way to the boardroom. Siti and I shared the mentor scheme at the 30% Club as well. So more to delve later. Now, Ambassador Dato Aminahtun.
Thank you, Yuki. Assalamualaikum. Very good afternoon to everyone. I'm very, very honored and pleased to be here. Such an auspicious conference for sure, and it's especially for us women, so empowered today, right? I think you all got really inspired by Brian, And it's going to be a hard task for me to inspire you, but I'll try my best. Okay, I'm a retiree, but I chose not to retire. I've moved on because there's so much to life for you to, achieve, right? And what better way than to empower the young? I actually get very energized when I'm with young people. Presently, I'm doing professional training for USM students. I also train the corporate people and even do coaching and mentoring for senior managers of Petronas. So it's really a pleasure to be here, and hopefully I can make a difference. Lots to share, of course. If you talk because of my background, more than 36 years in the government service, and a lot of it overseas in different posts. So lots of conscious and unconscious biasness that I faced, and a lot of inspiring moments as well. And of course, above all, the advancement in DEI, how much more governments are doing about advancing women and gender issues. So I'm very, very glad then to participate in this session today, and hopefully I can share my thoughts and inspire you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador. Sorry again, AG, Architect Yanti.
Thank you. Thank you. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. A very good afternoon to everyone. My name is Yanti. I'm actually an architect. I'm using few hats. But let me just tell you a little bit about myself. When I received the invitation, I was actually really asking myself, what hat am I supposed to be actually using? Because I am also from the private sector. I have my own company. I'm a practicing architect in Brunei, but I am based now in Jakarta. For my position now is the Secretary General for the ASEAN Inter-Parliamentary Assembly. So I see here as a bit of all three hats that I'm basically going to share. But first things first, I am so amazed and very proud to actually see the energy from our women here. You all should be so proud, really. I really do feel the energy. So when I actually started, I used to work with the government. So I worked with the Ministry of Development for 15 years before I decided to resign and open up my own company. I know that I'm really good, not that many women architects in Brunei. So when I actually started to practice, in 2017, I was basically appointed by His Majesty to be the member of Legislative Council in Brunei for 5 years. So it's equivalent to a member of parliament in Malaysia. So I served my term as a member of Legislative Council in Brunei, and I finished my term just last year, and I was basically nominated by my country to become the SecGen. But before it actually started as well, when I was a member of parliament or a YB, I was also the first president of institution that consists of 3 fields, which is engineers, surveyors, and architects. It's the first women president ever after 35 years existence in the construction industry. And I co-chaired a manpower steering committee in the construction industry. The reason being is 5 years ago, Brunei was one of the highest in ASEAN for the unemployment in percentage-wise. Construction is the next big thing after the oil and gas. So I started to actually co-chair, again, when we want to actually make an impact and change. So we started to actually change the curriculum of the university vocational school to make sure that the supply and demand are basically met. So these are the kind of things that we look into in the industry as well. And when I was basically nominated as a SecGen, I actually think twice because I wanted to practice instead, because it's always my dream to go beyond Brunei. But also the fact that if I can make changes in ASEAN, why don't I do that? But because that big one leap of sending me to Jakarta will basically be representing ASEAN, as I will actually be working with all the 10 countries' National Assembly in ASEAN. So it is also the first time ever Brunei nominated a female, and also coming from the private sector. So we never see ourselves as limited to anything. We can go beyond as long as you are willing to make those changes. So these are a little bit of the story of my life, which I'm gonna actually share later. But on top of that, just a little bit of all the titles that we've actually seen, of what I have actually gone through. It means nothing, because I am still a daughter, a wife, a mother to 5 sons. I am a grandmother to 2 grandchildren. So I am still the female as a home, you know, to how I'm supposed to be as a wife to my children and to my grandchildren. Thank you.
Oh my goodness, thank you for that story. I mean, it's like all of the ladies here is, we have to hear all these stories, you know. It's not enough, I say, everyday champion. We see maybe in news, and it's not reachable stars. And that shouldn't be that way, right? All of you are here, and we have to be campaigning this every day, everyday champion. So thank you. Miss Nixie Lam from Hong Kong.
Hi. Hi, everyone. I'm Nixie from Hong Kong. I'm a legislative council member in Hong Kong as well. Very nice to be here. Very glad that KSI invited me to be with so remarkable ladies here on the stage, and also here, of course. My story, I wanted to share that I got first elected when I'm 29. As a district councillor, working at the grassroots level, serving the people for 2 terms until I lost my game in 2019. As some of you may understand what has been happening in Hong Kong 2019. But that didn't really stop me for serving the community. I'm still holding on to a lot of other positions, trying to help the youth. And especially when you just mentioned being a mother and a wife and things like that, that actually go back to me. It's really tough to be this generation woman, especially in Hong Kong. Hong Kong is quite an equal world, of what we say, comparing to a lot of the other Asian cities. We can freely choose our occupations. Can freely choose whether you would like to get educated locally, abroad, or any position you like. That is really fair. We have 16 members of Legislative Council members in Hong Kong, or over 89 of them. We're all elected. And we have a few party leaders, of political parties leader that is female. Our previous chief executive is a female as well. But at the same time, we have another set of challenges that I got married when I'm 36. A lot of people say, you're holding your grandmother. My baby is 15 months now. So in Hong Kong, a lot of the ladies are just wearing we want to strike a balance in between having a career path successfully, but at the same time, we still want a family. But it is really tough. Other than finding the right husband, which is really tough enough, you have criteria and stuff, right? But at the same time, is that do you decide to stop your career? Do you decide to get away from it? Do you decide to change your path? So there's a lot of decision going when you find your perfect husband right? Because sometimes, you know, they have to suggest you to go like away from your professionals and stuff like that. And owning and having children and having to be there, especially at this moment that I'm still working heavily as a legislative council. We have meetings basically every day. I couldn't really go back until 9, 10 o'clock at night and already past the baby sleep time. So how do we manage that? So that's why in the parliaments, so what we call in legislative council, I've been heavily advocating the autonomy of women's having their family and how to balance that. I think the 2 points that I've been heavily following, one is the fertility issue that we face in Hong Kong. The average maiden age is around 33 in Hong Kong, so we only get married until we are 33, and then we'll have babies later. So that in result, a lot of the women are facing infertility issues. They have to visit the doctors. I got my baby through IVF procedures after 3 failed miscarriages. So what happened is that I think in workplace or even in public services, the lack of acknowledgement that women were facing when they're developing their career is that sometimes we might need a little bit more flexibility. It's not that we cannot work anymore, but we will need a bit of more flexibility. I think today when we are talking about social impact, as a politician, I encourage the government to formulate a lot of the laws, trying to break through whether they can bring me more support. So the chief executive in Hong Kong has been very, very welcoming. So he enhanced the tax deductions for families. They have cash bonuses for newborn babies. They have this and that, a lot of things. But I think one thing is very important is all the lady leaders here. I give it a very deep thought. If stage 1 or phase 1 of women empowerment is to allowing women to enter the workforce, be politician or starting a company or even vote or drive, then the second stage, phase 2 of women empowerment will be us that is already having the resources, already having the power, already having the ability to inspire and change the rules or change the barriers to make sure more girls or more women will have the opportunity and the flexibility to be better. I think that is very, very important that all of you can actually bring back and to inspire everyone. Thank you.
Amazing, thank you for that. And I think we all know that the most disparity is happening in the political scene globally. I think this is something we will delve into. Miss Carolina, you?
Hi everyone, it's a pleasure to be here, and I'm so grateful to hear and be in this room of everyone who's looking to look at social impact. All different leaders, female leaders, as well as male leader here, as well in the panel. I come from, I think, more the private sector approach of a career. So I left Singapore, so I'm Singaporean. I studied, grew up, my whole family is based in Singapore, but I left Singapore to see the world because I was curious 20 years ago. 2.5 months ago, I decided to come back after 20 years back to Asia. And being part of this group of individuals with sharing the same mission, passion, in such a short time of being back, it's a very empowering situation also for me, because we are speaking with the same language, the same vision of how to evoke social good. So a bit about myself, I had a 10 years corporate career where I worked with large organizations such as AB InBev, such as a construction engineering company as well. And we look into how multinationals can leverage different methodologies, different strategies to look into driving talents towards the projects and goods that they want to look into, the goals that the organizations wants to achieve. After 10 years, I decided to think about what do I want to do with my life. I was overseas. I found a good husband. My husband and I are super ambitious, and I had my 2 kids while being based out of Germany in the last 10 years. And being an Asian woman in Germany, trying to set up a business, which is what I was, thinking of for a long time, what can I put my skill set into? I had that corporate experience. I had, the ability to choose what I do next. And with that in mind, I thought, what is the problem that is closest to my heart? Because I think that is important, and that's what everyone is talking about here. And I saw this thing that happened within my family. So my mom, who has 3 kids, I'm the eldest, when she stepped away from the workforce, a lot about careers that we're talking on today, she never came back. And this is disruptive in a few ways, right? So for her as an individual, she lost a little bit of a sense of identity because she put everything for the family, which I'm very grateful for, and very grateful for still today. But on the other hand, it also affects a few things like financial sustainability and independence. So a career is more than just, a job. It is who we are as an identity, it's how we can give back to the purpose. It's about our financial freedom. I heard freedom in a group earlier on liberation. And also it impacts the economy. Because she, with 10 years working in Philips, in her previous role, she could also contribute back if she would have managed. So my company, Aminahtun, is really looking to solving this issue. How can we as individuals continue throughout our career life stage and still maximize our potential regardless of which stage we are at, whether are we at the stage of becoming parents or taking care of elderly, are we at the stage of looking into retirement? We still want to give back and have purposeful impact. I think that's what everyone is saying here today. And how can then we shape it? So we were successfully with seed funding, also from the German ministry, German Economic Ministry, that funded us to build the tech layer of AI recommendations for jobs and upskilling for those who comes to our platform. And we work with large organizations. Lean in Germany is a group that we work with. So today, I would love to hear also from everyone in this room, as well as from panel, how can we collaborate and connect all these different visions and missions so that we work towards, giving the equality to women in today's world, helping our kids, my 2 girls, I'm 8 and 6 years old, also becoming a potential minister and potential CEO, driving more and more companies so that it's part of their journey and not the exception to the rule. So thanks for the time.
Well, thank you. I think we have so many STEM ladies here. This is inspiring, and we'll delve a little bit into how tech maybe and can help us drive, as you spoke. But before that, not the least, and Mr. Albert, I've been sharing a few panel sessions before with you. You've always been the one within women, but this is how we feel when we are in a manel, as sometimes we call it, right? So no intimidation here, but please, Mr. Albert, welcome from Hong Kong.
Thank you, thank you. I feel like a little man. Among all these leaders and also from the floor. But allow me to share my views with you all. Before I start, may I just share a statement that I would like to share with you all? We are lucky to be alive. We are so lucky to be able to help each other in little ways and big ways. The reason we are lucky is because helping each other is in fact what makes us happy. That's all. I think just now, Nixie was asking me a question. What would you use one word to describe what the earlier section has been talking about? And then I gave one word of my own. I said, love. Love is what I would like to use. Because I think the world, we are living in a world of trouble. But this trouble, to me, I realized that it happens actually all over the world and also in the past, but it was not imminent to us until we have this technological breakthrough with the internet, that we knew that things are happening in every single second, not single minute. So the other thing I would like to share with you is like, it's from a famous statement from Albert Einstein: the world will not be destroyed by those who who do evil, but by those who watch them without doing anything. So I think, to me, I'm a green practitioner. I was born in Myanmar. I'm a Chinese, but I was born in Myanmar. I went to Hong Kong when I was 4, and I was raised up in Hong Kong and then in Canada. And I graduated in Canada, and frankly, my wife, actually, I had a puppy love. When I knew my wife, you know, I knew her when I was 14 years old. Okay, so she lives in Canada now, so we have 2 children, a daughter and a son. But she and I has the same belief that you know, we ought to do good things for the world, not only for our family. Look at the things that surround us. We are so fortunate of what we have now, you know, compared to what is happening in Gaza or in other parts of the world. You know, we are much fortunate. So what can we do? You know, any individual here, you know, especially today when I have a chance to meet all beautiful ladies here who are leaders, okay, who has their own visionary views of what they want to do in the coming future. But actually, one of the things that I have learned in my past by going green, the kind of a green transformative journey that I have been enjoying, you know, in the past 40 years, because I'm not young anymore, I'm 66. So I have a different view of life. You know, I really want to share, you know, things in a very simple way. If you want to do something good, you know, just do it. You know, no need to think over and over again to be so calculative of what you will get at the end. Just do it. And then you will somehow enjoy, you know, the satisfaction and the warmth that are created through you and then to other people surrounding you. So the kind of green that I'm talking about is more than environmental friendly. You know, I'm working on my greenism, my new, you know, I want to be a storyteller, you know, telling people simple story by doing simple things, you know. So this is what I have been doing. I've been working for, just a brief note of my background. I've been doing environmental issues for over 40 years. So to me, environment issue is not just environment issue. You know, I think we all learned, especially in the past years, about the ESG, the environment, social governance. We talk about the UN on the UN Sustainable Development Goals. We also learn about all new terms, you know, on global compact, sustainability, green economy, circular economy, digital economy, blue economy. I mean, there are so many terms, but those terms are good in the sense that, you know, everybody create, you know, a lot of ideas in their own fields, so in their own industry. But for us, we need to have a collective view, because we need to have a collective effort to work things together, no matter who you are, beyond your race, you know, beyond your age. Even in my age, you know, I still have the energy and also the urge to doing further things by working together. So I think this is a kind of green journey that I hope to share with you today. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Albert. I think that was so beautiful. Love, actually, my name in Japanese, I Yes, it's written in Chinese kanji, it's love. So I think that's so important though. Everything you do as well, we always look at the negativity of things when we are under pressure, just to have that bit of happiness into it rather than looking into, oh, why am I doing this task, for example, as well. Now I think we have to go into a little bit more on the detail. First question, I think everybody, or rather those who are relevant in the realm of politics or policy making, we have a few of us here, so please grab your mic. I wanted to highlight maybe the biases that exist, especially so as in the beginning we said that the most disparity happens in the political scenes globally. This is a fact. Maybe you could share a little bit of that, and how can we do anything about it? It's very simplistic to say, but yes, let's just share some thoughts around that, please.
So I'm looking at ASEAN. So if we actually look into, okay, when we need data, first things first. So if we actually look at parliamentarians in ASEAN, there are about 2,934 numbers of parliamentarians in ASEAN itself. And to actually ask how many are those women parliamentarians, in general in ASEAN is only about 21%. The highest among the ASEAN countries who has the highest women parliamentarians is Vietnam. They reach the 30%, followed by Singapore. Then number 3 is Philippines. You want to know next? Laos, EDR comes in 4th. Indonesia comes in 5th. I will stop there. Basically, well, the thing about it is, like, again, it depends on each term. It's never fixed. Every 5 years, every 4 years, you will actually have new member of parliaments, right? So it's really important. Now, how we actually do things in the ASEAN Inter-Parliamentary Assembly, we look at in one of our committee that looks at women parliamentarians. So in the past 30 years, the top 3 of our resolution is women. The top one is women participation in politics. The second one is gender equality. The other one is women in economics. So what we did starting last year was to actually come up with a draft implementation plan that looks into women participation in politics and leadership. So basically, this is again working with all the parliamentarians in ASEAN, and we hope that it will actually be adopted this year, next month. And once it's adopted, implementation will start in Malaysia, because Malaysia will basically take the chairmanship of ASEAN next year. So these are some of the things that we want to take action. Rather than we keep on talking about it. So we want to actually take all these steps. And hopefully, and this is one of the things I'm so so much in my heart, is again, when we actually have this kind of event, it's a fantastic event to actually get really those who shared a lot of best practices, good practice. In order for you to actually get laws to be enacted, you have to bring in the politicians, the parliamentarians in. Because on the national level, they are the one who's going to actually discuss, debate, even oversight as well with regards to the law. But this is just some of the things, and I'll leave that here. Perhaps that you can actually share as well.
Okay, I'll go second. Yes, I think having politicians to push things happen is very important, especially when you need a change. It's always, you cannot always stay there on the social level sort of discussion or having only enterprises whether they were willing to do so. Sometimes you need to formulate laws. Sometimes you just need to use the parliamentary sort of platform to get your voice out. My example, my experience in that, as I mentioned, I advocate on supporting fertility, health issue support. One of the motion actually a few months ago I submitted in the Hong Kong Legislative Council is about reproduction, having government to support financially or by some of the laws and regulations trying to refine the support for reproduction services and stuff. Currently in Hong Kong, if you want to freeze your egg, you can only freeze for 10 years maximum. But the point is, I mean, imagine if you being so like early acknowledgeable, like knowing, oh, maybe I should freeze my egg when you're 25. In Hong Kong, you can only use your egg when you're married. So you need to find a husband before 35. Within that 10 years, you need to find a husband and use that egg. Imagine that time frame is a bit too rushy, isn't it? So what happened is that is one of the things that I was trying to push the government to change. But in response, I heard a lot of the other people saying that, why don't you get married earlier? Why don't you have your kids earlier? But I don't think that is the point. A lot of the people think egg freezing or those sorts of procedures is to delay you having babies. But the point is, I can't just go around finding a husband just only for the baby, right? I just can't go out and find a male object and just say, hey, let's have a baby. So what happened is we need to be reasonable on those sort of things. So for any policy makers, you need to understand the current situation. As I mentioned, we only get married when we are 32, 33, then how can we have babies earlier? Well, in Hong Kong, a lot of us are independent women. 17% of the CEOs on listed companies are females in Hong Kong. So looking at that number, we need flexibility at work. So what happened is, other than what I heard a lot of people telling me, why don't you have babies earlier, maybe in my 18s or whatever, I don't know. How can I do it with master degrees and things like that? But the point is, you just need to be very firm on your belief, because I think, as we mentioned, we were daughters, we were wives, we were mothers. We understand what challenges we will face. And that challenge, that understanding needs to be expand into your position. As I said, I'm a politician, so I understand what they face, and then we need to push that things happen. Make sure that people have the flexibilities on that, and also not only on policies. I've been also talking to the largest bus company in Hong Kong, actually one of the company that owns a lot of frontline staff, Kowloon Motor Bus, the bus company. What happened is I told them, if you want to help women, why don't we try to have a childcare center at your company? So, because bus times is very flexible, they can work for 2 hours a day or 12 hours a day, depending on how many hours they can work on a shift. So women can actually come out, even though they have small babies, they don't need to work full time. They can work 4 hours a day on a new bus station or route next to their home, and then they can be financially freed. Right? The point is, a lot of the younger mother, when they get married and when they have children, they stay home because they make less money, and then the husband might suggest them, why don't you stay home? But then what happened is, they were heavily financially relying on the husband. And then another problem would say, they were like sort of pulled back from the society, disconnected, what we say. So how can we reconnect it in a bit of an effort? We can also encourage enterprise to have services like that. So I think a lot of the things that we can actually do and help, not just be creative, right? Talk to anyone that you encounter and think about an angle that can help any woman, help any girl, inspire them.
Thank you. Dato, you wanted to say something?
Thank you, Yuki. I just wanted to share my thoughts about this policy making, right? Our colleague here, Yanti, from AIPA mentioned that, you know, they have all these beautiful legislations there. But my question is, are we taking into account cultural, religious, back to the basic issues, yeah? We are all the world, whether you're developed, or you're a developing country, an underdeveloped country, the issue is everyone is developing at a different pace, right? And there are some intractable issues, religious-wise, for instance, right? I don't know if this is always being brought up in the media, oh, this country is, you know, if you look at Iran, for instance, you know, there is this image that we immediately see that is propagated by the media, right? You know, it's such a conservative nation, women are not allowed to progress, and so on and so forth. But the reality is, it's not a level playing field, right? There are all, at different stages of development, and there are many, many very progressive, successful Iranian women. Similarly here, you know, if you look at the statistics, Malaysian women are not so empowered, you know, but here we have so many women leaders who've done so much. We had a governor of Bank Negara who was quoted by Euromoney magazine when I was serving in Europe for 8 years. You know, you look at individuals, it's remarkable, the achievements, right? When we do legislations, policies, and so on, we do have to take into account these, differences, this level of development, and those issues. Yeah, just my thoughts.
Thank you. I think we didn't have enough platforms. We didn't have enough support system as we have now, I think. And then again, I'm emphasizing on this kind of event. We are getting together, exchanging ideas, collaboration from all ecosystem enablers, from government to private to foundation to community to, I think those are the key. And then by all of you sharing these, some learnings, some sharings, I think that's always inherent. Do you wanted to say something? Yeah.
So generally acceptance for female leadership has improved over the years, and it's certainly improved in the last 3 decades. And this varies across cultures, industries, and also geography and demography. Multiple factors such as societal attitudes, organizational culture, and government policies play a role. For example, in Malaysia, when the government announced a minimum of 30% women on listed companies, that really spurred and accelerated a lot of growth, particularly in the finance sectors. And I find myself, Yuki and I are in the 30% club, and we do get a lot of mentoring, and my board performance really accelerated by being in the club. But the point is that, must it be a club? Why does it have to be a club? Why? Because I also get asked, like, should we do another club for the men as well? Get asked that a lot, really. Yeah, I get that a lot. But so the point is that we do need to have a culture whereby we are more collaborative than competitive. And I find sometimes the competition and toxic competition happen among women. It's always too often we see another woman doing so well, and other women would then gossip about her. And I always find myself in a room, will be the bad person saying, can we stop this? Can we say something nice about the other women leader? I'm sure there's something nice about her. That's how she got there. I mean, she must have performed in one field or multiple fields that actually got her to be a women leader to start with. But sometimes another woman is the one that's pulling her down. Really, this is reality in terms of culture. And often I found that my sponsors and mentors have been men who recognize my talents and who pushed me through my career and provided mentoring. Yes, there have been really good women leaders who were my mentors as well, but really, we really need to address the elephant in the room, acknowledge that sometimes we as women are other women's worst enemies. Like there's no such thing as frenemies. If you're an enemy, you're an enemy. Call it a spade, a spade. But unless we address this, I see too often another woman who's really struggling. The past is already hard, suffering 3 miscarriages. I suffered multiple miscarriages myself. I still have frozen embryos that I'm like, what do I do with them? Can't even find time in my calendar to block time for things like that. But thankfully, I secured a good husband. As you said. Apparently, it's a relationship goals or life goals to secure one because, but at the end of the day, it's really about collaboration. I mean, the relationship that I have with my husband and the people that have cheered for my career, they are very collaborative in nature. And there are women who does that when every time I go on stage, my lady best friend will send a message, why are you wearing the same pearls again? It's like, I should give you another set of pearls so that it will match your, so that because like, someone will want to contribute to your success. And I think we need to have more in that. I would call that sisterhood or brotherhood, whereby we cheer for one another, we contribute to their success. When we say you look good, we really mean it. It's like really no udang sebalik batu or like hidden intention, really, really genuinely intending to build that another person up. I think that's very important. Really acknowledge that as something that is an impediment where we sometimes are the worst enemies to our own creed. Yeah, thank you.
100%. I think I called them, not him, her, but gatekeepers. They exist everywhere, so we don't want to be there. Support system, allies, I would call. In the summit we are organizing soon, upcoming Women in Tech, is definitely open for everyone. We want more allies to come in. We have many great allies, sharings. We have different strengths, and we're not just talking about gender here, but we have different strengths, weaknesses, and one just example, because I'm in tech, 42 school, programming school has 100 brains for it to work. So one cohort has 100 brains because you have 100 ideas, right? So it's just all about that, but support system, definitely allies. So Albert, we are happy that you are on board. And a few of the men here. Thank you very much for coming today. So now I would like to ask, well, I'm also an entrepreneur, actually. I have a blockchain company for tech for the force of good. I would like to always say that. If we have Abir, maybe you want to take something. How did you, your experience as an entrepreneur and putting together the innovation side of things to make changes in society?
I think I would like to correct that statement. We do this on a volunteer basis. So Lean in Malaysia is basically a volunteer platform where everyone on Lean in Malaysia has got a day job. So most of us are in the corporate sector, some of us have got our own businesses. It's a mixture of men and women as well, married women, divorced women, young women. So it's truly a diversity of a world there when we run in Malaysia. But I would also like to touch on the points that were made earlier by the other panels. We can't disregard the progress that Malaysia has achieved as well for the past 10 years since Lean in Malaysia happened. We were established in 2015 and statistics were low across the pipeline. And personally, we were looking at corporations. How are the policies family friendly? How are the infrastructures family friendly? Like what you highlighted it really well. Back then, the top 10 PLCs in Malaysia, only 1 or 2% had got daycare centers. But today, we are seeing more and more big corporations building daycare centers within their buildings. Governments are also taking actions to build daycare centers. And for the 30% club as well, I think we have finally achieved 30% women on the board sector, right? on the board level. So I think we need to give ourselves a big round of applause that there has been progress across Malaysia when it comes to women empowerment. These things cannot be disregarded because all of us have fought so well to get to where we are today. But at the same time, like what Dato has mentioned, when we talk about policies, right, we have to look at the other parts of Malaysia that still need support systems, still need these infrastructures to be built in. We talk about how empowered we are here, but we still have states that allow child marriages to happen. We see women participating in the education. 70% of students in universities, in local universities, are females, but only 54% of them enter the workforce. What does that tell us? And these statistics have not moved for the past 10 years. So running Linen gave us that experience that, hey, we talk about this every year. What needs to be done? What actually needs to be done to really move the dial? There are women leaders that we look up to. There are women CEOs. There are women who achieve things, climb mountains and stuff, right? But we must not forget to help those in the rural areas, the young generation, the young female in our countries, in the world, to have the right mindset that you need to be independent in the first place. Like what you said, we need to have our own salary, we need to earn our own income, we should not rely on anyone. And one thing that is missing in a lot of conversations is the financial empowerment that women should have in today's world. And so Linen is trying to bring that element in our workshops, in our master classes. And we run Linen Career Program where we value the idea of having a mentor, because we lack of mentors that can help us navigate in the intricacy of the corporate world or in the political world, right? So today, we are very proud of our Linen Career Program. And we just launched our 9th Linen Career Program just last week. 9th Linen Career Program, whereby every year, we see 40% of our participants re-enter the workforce, and more than 40% of our participants manage to move up the career ladder. And these are the little things that we can do to contribute back to the society, to contribute back to the economy, and to tell women who are their own worst enemies that you are enough. You are enough, and do not let the world tell you otherwise. Because you are your own pilot of your lives, and that is something missing in a lot of our conversations today. And looking back, the 23-year-old Abir, who wanted to do Linen, was so glad that she met her support system through Linen. The value of sisterhood, the tribe that we have found through Linen, has really propelled us in our own personal agendas and professional agendas. And we learn through assessing each other. And I think as women are our own enemies, and we often are against each other, but sometimes we also need to create our own support system and value the women who are actually in the corner and support us. That is a sister right there. And for me personally, I have lived my life through that, and without my Linen sisters, I wouldn't be who I am today. So that has been what Linen has contributed personally, as well as to the larger part of the society.
Amazing. Thank you, Abir. That's really inspiring. But it's really true that workforce dropout within the first 5 years, we have a data, it's like 40%. I mean, this is global again. We have to look at different countries and all of that, but simplistically, it's 40% within the first 5 years. And what do we do after that? And also, you mentioned about the division. We have Malaysia as in very city. I mean, this happens everywhere, but rural and city division, still something we need to address. And with that, I would like to speak with you, Caroline.
Yeah, it's very heartwarming to hear, this call out for all women to step up and to get the support and to connect and to collaborate. The issue with financial independence, we've done a research or looked into research, and I think for every year, or if you leave the workforce for 3 years, you're looking at $1 million loss of lifetime income. And this not affects just the women, this affects the husbands, the family, the kids, and the future generation, because it is a multiplying amount for the family to sustain. And on top of, empowering women, and we do use a lot of lean-in data. I am a big advocate of lean-in systems and support structure because I benefited from it being abroad from Asia. I think the other important point is we need to tackle the systematic biasness that exists in the public sector and the private sector of why women are not reaching leadership roles. Because there are already systems in place on who is promoted, how are they promoted, and why are they promoted. And I'm interested to hear more because I come from the private sector point of view, where hiring norms are sometimes really biased. The question about, are you married? Do you have kids? Before promotions, before bringing someone in, shouldn't ever be asked. And I'm wondering if we could work together with the legislature to put some of these practices in place. I think many countries are already advanced where this is now seen as discrimination. But how can we make sure that it's also being practiced beyond this legislation? And this is what the work that I do with NIHED as well. We look at empowering women with the support system of mentoring, coaching. On the other side, we are working with around 30 companies right now. But I think the question is, how do you advocate within the companies flexible solutions, options for portfolio careers, or childcare centers, as the other one that you mentioned, but on top of that, focusing on skills. So there's a movement, for example, towards skills-based organizations. So rather looking at the jobs, whether are you an engineer, are you a teacher, are you a manager, a CEO in a company, we are all unique individuals with a unique portfolio of skill set. And I think that approach also leads to healthy conversations where you say, this person, yes, he or she step out of workforce, but she has the right vision, matching aligned purposes, and also strengths. And even with just 6 months of upskilling, you could come back in. And there are 200 companies globally that also have structured programs called the corporate returnships. Many of you might have heard. So what they do is they specifically put a certain number of positions within the companies at senior leadership roles, the director, VP level within corporates, and say, okay, we are looking at especially those who stepped up of the workforce for 2 years. Here's a channel to come back in. We give you visibility with the senior leaders. We give you also then the support systems with sponsors, champions, and we fund your upscaling. And I think that approach, if we could multiply it in Asia, I'll be curious to have further conversations there to tackle this systematic biasness that is unnecessary, is not good for the individual, not good for the families, not good for the companies, and not good for the local ecosystem in the country as well.
I think for women in Japan especially, because I'm Japanese, so a bit of sharing, taking up senior roles, it's scary for them, as in maybe it's taking up more responsibility. I have to stay in the company maybe a bit longer, longer hours. Is it safe at night, so on and so forth, right? So these are also, again, a bit of cultural thing, and they can't step up. And certain level, like C levels, are maybe Top Gun ladies who made it. But then C-1 to the director mid-career level, there's a huge gap. I see that as well. In terms of the talent, I think, because I'm coming from the technology sector, I think AI obviously is going to play a big role, minus the AI bias and all that is a different, responsible AI, ethical AI is a different topic, but we can utilize that in terms of selecting candidates and so on and so forth, right? So technological advancement is definitely one key. And another topic, Abir, I was, resonated as well, was that a lot of female founders that we support through Women in Tech is that they are also scared of taking a leap of faith as an entrepreneur. They always think about, oh, if I leave the corporate world, can I do this? What if I start a company if I don't make it? We all think a lot. We think too much, maybe. So this is just a little bit of thoughts. Albert?
That's my
Well,
turn.
you were looking at me, so I'm just.
Okay, just my humble views. Okay, I just like to share with you all. I mean, there are many things that we have been doing, on and off, big projects, small projects. Some is under consideration, or there are also concerns of many. Just now you mentioned about people usually have reservation because you are not confident in. Certainly, especially if you are doing a kind of an innovative projects, which nobody has ever done that before. So of course you have reservation and you don't know where can you ask help. Even if you propose it to your seniors or your leaders. So my humble advice is, because just now I mentioned I've been doing green business or the green issues for over 40 years. So you can imagine 40 years ago, how many times have I been, rejected? And usually I don't even know what are my problems, what were my problems. So the problem is if you don't know what is your problem, so this is the biggest problem. Okay, so one of the things that I would suggest is that, find out what the problems are. But actually, 40 years later, nowadays, actually, there are many, many solutions already available in the community, in the society, in different countries. The only thing you have to do is to find out, Google it, talk to your people. Just that simple. It's not complicated at all. Find the right people to work with you, okay? Then what happened is, like nowadays, because all the issues that we are concerned about is, frankly speaking, is related to economy. So what you have to do is stick to the principles of economy. Okay, just now I mentioned about green economy, blue economy, digital economy, you name it, we have it all. But the point is that those are the things that are coming up for solution base. So unless you become a solution provider, nobody will look at you or talk to you, or even your superior, or even in the, we have different stakeholders, right? Either the politician or the businessman or the investor or community leaders. Why do they receive you to meet you and talk to you? Because they expect that you will give them hope for a solution, okay? Either socially or commercially viable solutions. If you can give it to them, they would listen to you. Well, I think this is the first very, very important thing. It's not about the tiny little teeny things or the, oh, I have this object, I have that objective. Objective is secondary. I think the most important thing is that we now have to understand ourselves that what are the purposes, the kind of higher purposes in life, or the purposes why the politician will meet you, why the leaders meet you, because you are solving their problem. If not, this is the key. Other than that, are the tools, platform, and ways. But the first thing that you have to find out are those. So for me as a green, I would say people call me Mr. Green, or call me Green Warrior, because I never back down. But I always try to find solutions. So I think there are many, many, many effective solutions nowadays, especially many innovative solutions where we have technology to help you out. There are many new devices. It's how you apply. One last small, advice. It's like when we talk about economy, we talk about earning money, because if you don't have income, okay, who will entertain you? So my kind of business model economy that I'm talking about is, we talk about earning happy money. Happy money is in a sense that a corporation make money, but they can do a lot of good things. So the kind of green that I'm talking about is doing good, practicing kindness with moral ethics. And every company or everybody or every government, have the same purposes. So this is my humble idea.
Thank you for that. I agree with you 100%. I think everyone has part to play, and industry, foundation, I'll come to you, Siti, as well, community. We don't try to reinvent the wheel, I always say to the government agencies as well, like you have all the blueprints and whatnot, but we do the groundwork, so help us. I think that's about public, private, all stakeholders to come together, collaboration. Yes, Siti, please.
Thank you. I wanted to share with you a very important realization. When I took on my first CEO role in 2019, one thing I've realized is that the job itself is not difficult. But you know what was difficult? The road to get there. For me to be recognized that I am capable to be considered for the CEO position. And this is based on very real, true story and experiences, and the biases are there. And you wouldn't imagine the kind of things people would have said to me to undermine my credibility. To question, can you even do this job? Why? Because I am 5'1", you look like this. That's why people don't realize I love Zoom meetings, because when I turn off my camera and I just speak based on my points and my smarts, I actually get accepted better when people don't know how I look like. Because it's when all the biases are removed, people will just look at you based on what you can do, the solutions you said that can be provided. And that's what we want the women to be seen as solutions provider, regardless of whether how we look like. And so that's what I realized. That's why it's important, number one, for women to believe that they can be a leader, can be that minister, CEO, whatever that leadership position is, because I can tell you, once you finally get there, you can do the job. But the road is so difficult that so many women, after 3 miscarriages, for example, they just give up. They don't realize. So then it's important to lean in, to marry well, to make sure that you have a good support system, and honor all the different hats that you have. And remember that the support system, and most importantly, you have got to be your greatest supporter, not your worst enemy. Yeah, thank you.
So, well done. Albert.
Yeah, just a last
Yes,
a little
and
comment.
then I will go around one more time.
Yeah. Unhappiness is a luxurious item, okay, to anybody. If you feel unhappy, this is it's a luxurious way of your living, So that's why you have to treat yourself good. So as I said, it's an attitude issue nowadays, because having problems and undergoing a lot of ups and downs and discrimination, those are normal nowadays. So unless we have a happy attitude, optimistic view, then you don't treat those problems at all. You can just accept and then move on. I think this is the way how we can even survive nowadays. Make yourself a happy person, and then do the things you thought this is right with higher purpose. Then you have satisfaction out of it, no matter what.
100%. I think as women especially, we tend to bash ourselves. We think too much. Don't take it too personally as well. Yeah, so great words. Thank you. I guess it's one round of things to say. Abir, let's start with you all the way. Something that the audience might take back as into practice at a personal level. It doesn't have to be an organization level, or any sharing.
Right. I think my last words would be, again, to never let anyone tell you what you cannot do just because they can't. And as women, we wear so many hats, and that is the most unique thing that human beings can have. We are mothers, we are daughters, we are sisters, and at the same time, we can also be CEOs, leaders, doctors, lawyers. I myself will carry that with me, and I hope the next generation as well will be able to take charge of their own life and be more vocal out there and be the woman that we want to see in today's world. But that was my closing. But if I may also do a call out, if that's possible, we talk a lot about miscarriages, IVF, and I think that is one thing we don't talk a lot about, where policies need to be looked at to focus on women's health. So I just got married 2 weeks ago, and all of my friends are at this age where we talk about, do we freeze our eggs? Do we go through IVF? What are the facilities that I can go to? Who are the gynaes? Very little information is out there for us to assess to. And how do we expect women to progress to the next level if we don't look at women's health? So if there are policymakers in here, please start looking at it. It's an ask from the women, because we need that to happen for us to be able to access to health so that we can be healthy, so that we can contribute to the economy just like everyone else. So thank you. That's from me.
I really love Abir's point. One of the things that we promote is women's health, and that's through cervical cancer screening, through Rose Foundation. It's really amazing. The most important successful thing that women can do for themselves is to live longer and be well and build healthy, because when you're well and healthy, you can fight your battles, come what may. So make sure that you are checked, all the checks that you're doing, and just to educate you that there are tests that can identify the virus upfront and have it treated. Cervical cancer is something that is treatable 100% now. But in Malaysia and many countries in the world, there's not enough awareness. Australia is close to 100% cervical cancer free already. So do get yourself checked, and also to let you know, pap smears are actually very dinosaur way of checking these things. And again, we need to talk more about these things. And I wish all the women, not just in the room, out there as well, make sure you're healthy, drink lots of water, and you are the best asset, best person to take care of yourself, mentally, physically, spiritually, so that we have a lot of battles to fight, but unless we honor ourselves and our body and our mind, nourish it, you won't be able to fight the battles. Thank you.
Thank you, Siti. Before we go on to you, Dato, Albert has to leave. He's going to airport. So thank you for your wisdom. Thank you for the lovely sharing. From Male Ally, once again, Albert. Thank you. So, Ambassador Dato.
Well, I just wanted to say that all women, the first thing you have to realize is, like it or not, conscious and unconscious bias is a reality. Okay? The men, straight away, they have got one foot in the door, right? They arrive at the airport to go to a meeting. They don't even have to change, right? But we are on a flight and we are in our casuals. Can you imagine we go into a meeting in our casuals? What will the reaction be, right? My God, she doesn't even know how to dress appropriately, right? So she's so disheveled, yeah? And when we speak, I mean, I recall, for instance, when Hillary Clinton was running for president. I don't know how many of you remember, because I'm with the older generation, of course. This is 2016, right? And what does Donald Trump call her? Call her out for her shrill voice. The moment a woman raises her voice, you know, she's mocked. She's being shrill. No? She's such a shrill voice. She's screaming. In actuality, it depends on the forum, right? If I'm talking now, I can talk in a normal voice. But if I'm campaigning, of course I have to raise my voice, and automatically my intonation will also rise, right? But that's the effect. You're going to face it. And what can you do about it? Embrace it. This is the reality. Embrace it, move on, right? And stay the course. I think that's my basic. I'm always telling all my trainees, my mentees, and so on, stay the course. Don't give up, right? And be knowledgeable. We all know that we have 3 steps to you know, to have that equitable situation, right? So be knowledgeable, because I faced it a lot of times, right? When I was in Ukraine, for instance, where they like to treat women as precious goods, mind you, precious goods, right? I come out of a car, they open the door for my husband, not me, right? But I'm the ambassador, right? And of course, straight away, they want to kiss my hand. That's the European way, right? Because I'm a lady. They don't take you seriously, right? There was one time when I was accompanying a minister for a meeting, you know, they thought, oh, okay, tokenism, you know, she's there, she's a woman, she's a pretty face, that's it. But when the minister started turning to me, trying to get the points to put across, it's a bilateral meeting, right? And they realized, oh my goodness, it does have some substance, you know? So that's the reality. There is always going to be conscious and unconscious bias. Yeah? In Europe, I didn't stand a chance. I'm Asian, I'm not white, you know? And on top of that, I'm Muslim. Oh gosh. You know, the power of the media is at play here. Yeah? Some even thought Malaysia, we live on trees. Who knows? Yeah? I'm not trying to be critical here, but this is the reality, ladies. So my final message is, stay the cause, you know, fight to the end, and you will succeed, like many of us have.
Thank you. I would like to actually echo Dato as well. I think the fact that women needs to be more resilient. You have to be very knowledgeable. When I'm basically in the construction industry, it's such a male-dominant industry. But I'm also glad that they respect you, the male would respect you. So having a male ally, I have to also appreciate that we all have to respect each other. I think those one of those keys. Be professional. You will come to a point where people will look down on you. But it doesn't mean that, you know, you have to actually take this very personally. Never, never take things personally, especially when you're actually doing your work. Take it very professionally. Build your resilience. That is one way that we can actually push women to go above. Don't be too emotional. Put that aside, because it makes a lot of difference on it. Just be professional.
I think I want to echo on want to say related to women's health, that is one of the important advocates that I was actually pushing in Hong Kong. I think for women, when we are talking about fertility, it's not only meaning that whether you can carry a baby or not. I noticed that in a lot of the education, so especially when we're teaching our younger women on sex education, it doesn't relate to health at all. It's just like sex intercourse, but no sex education. But when women, when they grow up, when they reach their puberty, there's a very unique set of experience that they will experience, but we don't seem to have enough information. Going through fertility, there's also a lot of information intake that will affect the decision, that will affect how they plan their lives. So I think those sort of information is very, very vital and important for younger women. When they are younger, they should be well educated in that aspect. So I think all of the NGOs or entrepreneurs or politicians needs to be aware of that. And by having people understand that, we can use it, as I mentioned, we can have that sort of information embedded into the earlier sex education, not only for girls, but for boys as well. I think, I remember 2 weeks ago, movie producers came to my office. We discussed about a possible a show or whatever. And she says, I mentioned about the first phase, as I mentioned, like first phase of empowering women, the second phase of empowering women. And she asked me, what do you think is the third phase of it? What's the next phase? And I gave it a thought and I say to her, maybe phase 3 will be women don't need to explain herself so much. I think women sometimes are so tired of trying to explain a very normal situation to people that didn't understand. I think that is something that we hope in 10 years' time or so, that we can actually achieve that.
I would love that, to go into phase 3 and we don't have to explain and this is status quo. I think that's a fantastic point. Thanks for sharing. While we get to phase 3, I think we still need to work on phase 2. And today I learned and take away 3 important, I call them the 3 C's. My name starts with a C, so you see as well. So I think we need to build that capability, that capacity to make sure that we continue with the resilience, keep on upskilling, because even when we are 80, 90 years old, there are still things we can help and push for if we keep on learning. The second C, I think it's important that we collaborate and connect with each other as we are doing today, which I'm so happy to learn on. But I think there is the third C that I want to share, which is not really touched on today, but just to end on as a food for thought. Things happen when there is capital. So that's the third C. There are, for example, 30% of businesses that are women-led. But the capital going to women is only 17% in the world when you look at venture capital. And how can we as individuals leverage these 3 C's in whatever means we have, whether is it using our strengths and skill set, using the connections we have, using maybe little capital that angel investors, investment firms that you can put into the projects that you care about. All this help us drive purposes in the next small step. And I really like what you said about not giving up, right? We're not trying to reach 0 to 100, even though we want to reach phase 3 at some point. But you know, that little one step from 0 to 100 means a lot, and it can touch a lot of lives and the next generations of lives ahead. So I think that's really crucial. So thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure being here. Thank you.
Thank you, Carolina. Thank you all. Just to finish, maybe such an interesting things that we shared or the speakers have shared. I think what I would like to ask for is to share now social media era, what you have experienced today, speak about this on LinkedIn or your IG. I think that helps spread the words as well. I think we are making it quite flawless today as well, but driving social impact is a real hard work, having a real hard conversation every single day. So I think all I ask of you would be to share this amazing ladies here today. Thank you so much.
Thank you to all our panelists for a truly enlightening discussion. Please make your way to the front of the stage for a photo session.